Well, good morning, my Messiah Lutheran Church and Preschool friends. This is Miss Abby, Director of Family Ministry here at Messiah, coming to you with our Sunday school lesson for this morning. I am so glad that you could join us, as today we are going to talk about heaven and how we get there. So I'm sitting in our church sanctuary next to our window that reminds us of heaven. It has the King Jesus crown and the throne and the symbols for Alpha and Omega, that God is the beginning and the end. And so we're going to talk about heaven as a destination, a place that we go, and as Christians we believe we get to go to someday, and how to get there, and maybe take a little bit of a closer look at that. So to get us kind of warmed up and started this morning, I thought we would do a little game or activity. Maybe you guys have been starting to venture out of your house a little bit the last week or two, and maybe starting to do some outings in some places where you're a little bit removed from other people, or maybe you're still at home. But this morning, for our opening activity, I would encourage everybody in your family or your household that you're watching with to take a turn and maybe act out or pantomime, without using any words, a destination or a place you really want to go and really want to might be missing. And so maybe pause the video and give everybody and your family a chance to act out that place they want to go, while the rest of your family guesses. And then kind of unpause the video and join us for the rest of our lesson. So maybe for you, you're somebody that's been missing the beach, and so you're going to pantomime, sun tanning like that, and so people are going to guess that the beach is someplace that you want to go. Or maybe you've been missing, what do you think, Disney and my Mickey Mouse ears, and so you want to be going to Disney World again soon. Whatever your destination, I am glad that you made online worship a place to go, or a place to see and be a part of today for our online worship and online Sunday school this morning. So a destination is somewhere you want to go. And I hope you had a good time acting that out with your family and guessing about all the places you are missing attending and going. But today we want to talk about one of the places that, as Christians, as people that believe in Jesus, we get to go someday, and that's heaven. So we might think about, what was the best thing about that destination that you acted out? How long would you want to stay there, and why? What makes that destination so great? Maybe think about that and ask those questions, and pause the video and talk about that. There are a lot of great places to visit, and a lot of great places that we have been maybe missing over the last couple of weeks. But heaven is our ultimate destination. It's a wonderful place, and Jesus is the way to go to heaven. And so this morning we're going to take a look at Revelation, the last book of the Bible, chapter 21. And I would encourage you this week to take a longer look, looking all the way from the start of chapter 21 through kind of the middle of chapter 22. But for time's sake today, we're just going to take a look at a couple shorter verse sections, 1 to 7, and then 18 to 21, and then the first couple verses of 22, to kind of give us a little bit of a picture of how the Bible talks about heaven, at least in this section. In Revelation 21, it says this: I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old heaven and the old earth had disappeared, and the sea was gone. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, "Look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them, and they will be his people. God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eye, and there will be no more death, no more sorrow, or crying, or pain. All these things are gone forever." And the one sitting on the throne said, "Look, I am making everything new." And he said, "It is finished. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To all the thirsty, I will give freely from the springs of the water of life. All who are victorious will inherit these blessings, and I will be their God, and they will be my children." jumping ahead a couple verses into verse 18, it says, the wall of the city was built on foundation stones inland with 12 precious stones, jasper, sapphire, and gates of emerald, onyx, and carnelian, and chrysolite, and beryl, topaz. The 12 gates are made of pearls, each gate from a single pearl. And the main street was pure gold and as clear as glass. Well, that sounds pretty fancy and ornate to describe heaven. And then it continues in chapter 22. The angel showed me a river with the water of life, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. It flowed down the main street. On each side, a tree of life bearing 12 crops of fruit with a fresh crop each month. The leaves were medicine to heal the nations. No longer is there a curse upon anything, for the throne of God and the Lamb are there, and the servants will worship him. They will see his face, and his name will be written on their foreheads. There will be no night there, no need for lamps or sun, for the Lord God will shine upon them and will reign forever and ever. Well, that sounds like a pretty wonderful place. No pain, no tears, the most fancy things and decorations you could imagine, gold and jewels, and water and healing and God with his people. That's a pretty amazing description of a very perfect place and a destination we can look forward to going to. So I'd encourage you to keep looking at that Revelation passage and maybe some of the other passages in the Bible this week to get more of a picture of heaven here. We're going to use that little handout. So that sounds like a great place. So how do we get there? That's kind of the question. How do we get there? Well, a couple weeks ago, we talked about how we are sinners and we are here and God is perfect and he's over here. We talked about using the front of our church sanctuary and saying there's kind of a gap up front between God and humans because we are imperfect and sinful. And we said that Jesus, when he died on the cross, used our little beam up front in church, he bridged the gap between sinful humans and God. And so we said, as heaven is such a great place, how do we get there? Well, we looked at what John, the book of John in chapter 14, verses 1 to 6 has to say. And it says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me," Jesus. "There is more than enough room in my Father's house. I am going there to prepare a place for you. When everything is ready, I will come and get you so that you will be with me where I am." Jesus told them, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." So right now, as we're missing different destinations and places to go, we might figure out how we would want to get there. Maybe we would have to drive, or maybe we could walk, or maybe we could bike, or maybe we'd have to take an airplane. But the destination of heaven is a place we get to just by Jesus, believing in what he did by dying on the cross and rising for us. And as his children, we can trust in that and know that he is the way to get us there, and that we don't have to have a roadmap or figure out how to get there. We trust in Jesus, and he gets us there. Our theme verse today, or a memory verse, comes from Romans 10, 9 and 10, and it says, "If you declare that Jesus is the Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. It is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and by declaring your faith that you are saved." So we just have to trust in Jesus, and then that wonderful, awesome destination is a place we get to go. So right now we might be longing for visiting our favorite destinations, like our favorite restaurant or Disney. We long for heaven too, because it's such a wonderful place. And so I would encourage you to maybe take a little bit of a look at that this week. There are some fun activities that got emailed out for your family to try at home. One is using these scripture references and maybe some magazines or newspapers you have lying around the house. put together and make either a brochure or maybe a website to describe what heaven would be like for somebody that wouldn't know. Just like we have our fancy brochures to come visit our vacation spot or visit our church, you could make one of those that maybe every day add a different verse that you've looked up and add a piece or a picture of heaven and what that's like to share with somebody else. So that's a great way to kind of unpack the what is heaven and what is it like part of that. There's also a fun family activity called Cross the Room, Cross to Heaven. And it's just a little game or activity, maybe an adult or a parent or the head of household in your house can kind of organize that game. You don't need any supplies, just some open space in a room in your house or maybe in your yard, and trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B with some limitations. And our leader of our game can be in on a little secret for how to do that game or activity to maybe drive that point home, that Jesus is the way to heaven and is the only way that we get to that destination. So we'd encourage you to check out those activities at home on your week, maybe look during the week and take a little bit of a closer look at these Bible passages, knowing that heaven is a really great place, a really great destination, the ultimate destination that we as people that believe in Jesus can look forward to going to someday, and we can be assured that we get to go there because of our faith and in Jesus, and knowing that He's the only way, and when we believe in Him, when we have faith, that's a place that we already know how to get to because He's taking care of that for us. So I hope that you enjoy looking a little bit closer at heaven and how Jesus is our way there this week. That if you've got questions, you'll reach out and talk to one of us here at church, email us or call us so that we can answer some of those questions for you and help you get a little bit of a better picture of this. And God's blessings on your week and all the destinations you go, whether you're staying at home or heading out, and ultimately to our home in heaven. So bye, my friends.